Hello everyone, Kenty Tiger here with Bengali Engineering in Play. We are starting a new series here, so this is kind of the very beginning of the adventure. This is not entirely what I wanted. Now, one of the cautions here, this is not totally vanilla. There is, as pretty much always, I've got my mod in here, a couple other mods, the Darth Biomex mod, the Drifting Thoughts mod, a lot of the others. Of course, Space Engineers is still Space Engineers, so it's doing a lot of what you just saw. Um, I don't even know if this is gonna work. Um, I'm still having all the graphics problems. Space Engineers is still completely fucked up, as it always is. Um, so don't know if says 6 minutes here. Don't know if I'm gonna crash at this point. Which take your pick, A or B, my ship or the game. A lot of this, I'm normally would try and stay in character, but Space Engineers just being as fucked up as it is. There's a lot of rumor about this going to release, and this just isn't fucking ready. I mean, all the blogs and everything out there. I think Merrick is completely fucking up this game. I know I shouldn't direct hostility directly at him, but as a CEO, I've been a CEO. Um, I don't know if anybody knows what his intentions really are. I don't think he does. Just personally, the the avoidance of answering questions like what is in the future of this game, that sort of thing, I think are probably the worst thing that you could possibly do, given an environment like this, where you have a lot of people that have a vested interest in the game as a whole. That the community that has put all of their time and effort into it, and yeah, I haven't played Space Engineers in probably almost a month, and this is exactly why. Um, so as I've ranted about before, I have a high-end machine. Um, and what I mean by high-end, I've got 64 gig. It's an i7 6850. 6850, yeah, 3.6 gigahertz. It's a hex core. It's got 64 gig of RAM. Okay, so four times the recommended amount of RAM, and currently, just okay. I used to be a programmer. I was working my way through college, so this is a hell of a long time ago. But okay, why does a piece of software need 11 gig to run? Okay, so people talk about, which is to say, Keen Software House, which is to say, Merrick, talks about optimization. Okay, first thing you have to do is optimize your memory, because if your program, if this game engine needs 11 gig to run, then clearly you're not doing something right. I really am trying to get this lander to land.
Ship fuel critical.
So I'm pressing S. There's C to go down here.
Ship fuel critical. Ship fuel critical.
This one I'm just
Ship
trying to get
fuel
on the ground.
critical. Ship fuel critical. Ship fuel critical. Ship fuel critical. Ship fuel.
Yeah, I really feel the game is, in its current state, unplayable. It's not, you really can't do anything, and of course I'm not playing the game within any kind of standard at all.
Ship fuel low.
You know, I am,
Ship fuel low.
I think, I'm
Ship
trying
fuel
to,
low.
I was trying to think of, you know, where's a good place, and I think back here in this little canyon. This is exactly why it's just not playable. Not fucking playable. So, granted, I'm trying to run alt max, which maybe I
Ship
shouldn't
fuel
be.
critical.
The game clearly cannot handle UHD. When it does function for a little while, my frame rate, as you can see, is not playable as a game. So, you know, there are issues. Of course, now it's exactly why it's not playable. So I have, yeah, I mean, the game is pretty much frozen. Whether I actually am able to land or run into this is left to be seen. I have about 2 minutes before the lander is dead here. Take.
Ship fuel critical. Ship fuel critical. Ship fuel critical. Ship fuel critical.
Tend to despise auto-lock for all the different reasons. Not functional.
Ship fuel low. Ship fuel critical. Ship fuel critical.
Right. Landing gear lock. So, as we pretty much always do, there's enough materials in this particular vessel to do pretty much whatever you want. You can start out pretty basic. In the end, my goals for this. Alright, well. My goals for this series, I want to build, this is, if you can see the flickering here, that depending on where I'm standing, there's these little flickers. Now, alright, sorry, I'm gonna rant again because this is just fucking annoying to the be-all end-all. So, twin 1080 Ti's, okay? They're running in SLI mode, okay? This is a graphics card that is considered to be probably the third or fourth best consumer available product on the market, okay? 1080 Ti's. Dual SLI mode, okay? There shouldn't be any game available for the PC that can't run on a single 1080 Ti. But Space Engineers, which is not the be-all end-all of games by any stretch of the imagination, and it cannot deal with the graphics. Okay, so this is where I think Merrick is completely fucked up. Before you go and completely overhaul something that doesn't work to something that doesn't work even worse, leave it the fuck alone, fix the bugs you know exist, and get the game stable. Now, there's been a lot of talk about where the Space Engineers engine should have stopped. And I tend to agree with a lot of the folks who are much more vocal about things than I am. Prior to Planets, the game was fairly stable. Things worked fairly well. The introduction of Planets really introduced a lot of hokey things that don't really work well. There's a lot of glitchy things that happen. So Planets and beyond. This whole graphics update looks really nice. No doubt about it. I don't like the fact that very definitively you knew where resources were. With the new update, you really don't know as clearly where things are. The flickering I cannot stand. It's a pain in the ass when you're trying to do and of course they've changed keys and that sort of thing. Game. I don't even know where it is. Controls, perhaps. Controllers. Movement. Systems interaction. Use interact as T. Exactly as it should be. But not working. Because it's fucking turned off. So, I want to get over to Kenti suit, and I think we'll do Alright. So, these cargo containers hold basic tools, ammunition, and enough components to build. 6 solar panels, 2 batteries, 1 flight seat. Also enough steel to make an armor block platform, whatever that means. So, my goals. Okay, I don't know how you can turn the ship off. Maybe that's the problem. Because even though I've got batteries here, light, got 1 battery on. Vent, assembler. Let me just turn that off. Off. Sliding door that I just dismantled because it was turned off. Small reactor turned off. Okay, so we should have everything turned off. Of course, the downside with turning everything off is medical spawn. How the ice goes up like that, I have no idea. So, the good news is now that I'm not moving, then this isn't too bad. So, with my rant having trailed off into oblivion there, here's the goals. I want to create a small base down here. So planetary base, and the reason for that is I want to have the resources, the planetary scale resources that would be available here. The second thing I want is a space station, and I haven't designed that space station yet, but it's going to be a station that's capable of really multi-mission. So it's going to be a place where all the ore can be unloaded, and from the unload, all the processing, assembly, everything, and the ability to strip down captured things, whatever they happen to be. So the goal eventually will be to turn on several mods which insert cargo vessels, that sort of thing, into the world, which can then be captured and then all their parts pieces dismantled, which would give a good supply of materials, components. So that's the goal for the space station. So multi-mission, basically everything, central location for everything. So a couple of the mods that I have installed, the cargo teleport is installed, which is a mod that I absolutely love. It just shaves an awful lot of time of transporting things around. So what I intend to do is use that to be able to transmit and receive materials back and forth from the station to here. So this base here. Now, obviously this is an oxygen planet. You can see down there oxygen high. So it's ideal from that perspective that I don't really have to worry about being able to breathe. So I don't have to worry about ice. I don't have to worry about... the only thing I really have to worry about is power. So power is going to become an issue. Obviously I'm very slowly falling down. So power is going to be an issue. the fact that you can't tear down batteries is definitely going to be a problem. I've never liked that. You know, I could get off on a rant on the realism or the lack thereof. You know, a battery is a battery. So why do, you know, power cells magically disintegrate into something else when you take them apart? And I'll never understand that. I thought that was stupid when I first discovered it. I still think it's stupid today. You know, again, I can accept that game designers, it's called space engineers, but I don't believe they have a single actual engineer who works there, which is unfortunate, because I think a game called Space Engineers that's based on engineering, designing, developing would definitely benefit from having an actual engineer who can add some sanity to what they're doing, if that's even possible. So anyway, obviously I'm on the planet's surface here, so getting things to the point of you know, being built. The goal here really is kind of the same as what it would be on the station, other than it's not really multi-mission. This is the whole goal down here is really storage and processing. That's it. So ultimately, what I want is the ability to leave the surface of the planet, get up into space, find a decent location, and then put together the space station. So there doesn't have to be, excuse me, very much down here. Again, processing and collecting. So I'm going to use my standard miner down here. The reason I do that is I like it, for one. This isn't an entirely vanilla game, as I've already warned you about. So one of the other things is the teleport system or transport system. Very Star Trek-ish in its style, which will interconnect all the different places. So right now the goal is this surface station. Then the space station, excuse me again, and then eventually I suppose a moon base or something like that would be ideal. Don't know if and when that will happen, but we'll see. All right, so I picked this little corner here because I think boring into the side of a mountain is actually a good idea. It will give shelter. It will give the opportunity to I think over here. So probably into this rock face, I believe up here where you can see my reticle. So the only way I've been able to tell is you see the black up here. In fact, let me go ahead and zoom up a little bit. The black over here. This kind of thing is the only way I have been able to identify that there is minerals or anything down here, and I don't know what's here, but these kinds of deposits are the only way I've been able to tell. Oh, excuse me, I am tired and it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So this little back area, I think, is ideal. Whether I bore into this face over here or bore in over here, I'm not sure it really matters. I parked over here, so might be advantageous to go in right here. The downside is that this is a hill that goes up and then back down, whereas this goes, let's see how this one goes. This one just goes back down a little bit, but ultimately, okay, now that I'm flying, I don't have much control anymore. Yeah, this game is just, as is, not very playable. Considering, okay, there's 2 things in the game. There's this lander, the planets, and me. So I guess 7 or 8 things, depending on how you look at it. Well, there's 6 planets. So there's this planet, the moon, for this planet. There's the alien planet, and then the other thing. Then there's the Mars-ish planet, and then Titan. So there's 6 planets. There's the lander and me, which ultimately, there's not a whole lot. I'm gonna move one more thing because I really want the miner. Mining. Microminer Mark 9, I think, is the one I've been using. So what I'm doing is moving different things into my blueprints database here. So the real question is, do I just go down? Do I go in? How do I go? And I think I'm gonna pick over here. So let me go ahead and get on the ground here again. I do currently have, did have drives me absolutely crazy. Oh, come on. The inability of the game to actually paste something in without any sort of. Alright. So I'm fairly flat at this point. I've got a lot of ore and everything already. But my goal here is to actually let me alright, so I have magnesium, ice, we have silicon, we have nickel, yep, magnesium, nickel. Probably something over there too. So here's what I want to do is get myself somewhat lined up. Maybe I will put this over here. Inventory 15 blocks. Again, we have stuttering that is profoundly annoying. So I'm not going to be able to get to these because there's no power, which is fine for right now. I really just need. So the goal over here is really just to get an idea of another complaint. I can't even talk for 5 minutes without complaining about something. Why the voxel grids and other grids cannot be aligned in some way, I have never been able to figure out. So what I want to do here is line up a grid to the point where it's kind of going straight into the mountainside here. So really all I'm intending on. Right. So I didn't actually mean to do things quite that way, but so be it. Okay, so that is basically an arrow. That's what I'm intending on that. Sorry, having not played in a month, I'm forgetting what all the keys are, so I'm having a lot of trouble here. Between space engineers performing pretty much like space engineers. So what I want to do really is just get lined up. And again, my goal here is to be able to really line up this base entrance with my little arrow here. So sure exactly how far in we're going. Oh, we have minerals and everything right here, which is kind of cool. trying to do is get level here. Was the goal. And I'm about as level as I'm going to be able to get. I'm going to do a V just to see kind of what's going on behind. I'm not sure how far I want to go in. I don't actually have a rear camera on this particular beastie. Given my depth here that is going back down, then I think I'm in that little valley or under that little valley. I think, let's go ahead and turn the drill off. I'm going to go ahead and jump out. We'll look behind. Is that far enough in? And strangely, I have some kind of an angle here. So, grab my tiger orange here. So I think this is a plenty large enough hole. Yellow, which I never use. So we will select like I said, this is not really playable as it is. Control Shift. So I'm coming out this far, kind of to cover my hole, but we'll do some things as we go along here. So I also want to kind of get a perspective on how far out do I want to come, and of course this will be built over a little bit of time. how big of a platform do you really need? And that's, you know, a lot of subjective there. Okay, so that's my corner, and I came out 3 from the other side. So we'll do 3 on this side. The downside here is that I'm obviously not level with the ground, which is something I really don't care for. What I may actually do, even though it's kind of cheating a little bit, is to go back into Space Master and change some things. Which, because I want everything to be somewhat level, I think I'm actually gonna do that. Try and do that while this is still completely screwed up. Alright, so go back into Space Master here. We will maybe just for the sake of making this easy. Alright. Paste this back in the world here. Okay, so now it is, well, maybe not. I was thinking that we would be approximately level of the ground, but maybe that is not the case. Well, I guess maybe it is a level with the ground, and it's actually that, you know, ice in Space Engineers doesn't lay flat. How that is a thing, I don't know. Alright, so let's I guess that be it. Alright. Not entirely what I wanted, but oh well. Alright. Space Master back off here. So as most anyone who's played Space Engineers for any length of time, the initial, you know, setup and everything is really where the challenges are. The goal here in this case, I want a connector. So this is going to kind of be landing pad. There will probably be, I'll probably have it armed out here. Approximately in the center here, so what I want to do is let's add one more row, and then do like this, so there will be a connector here. Right, so this is probably about as close to the center as I can get it. Pieces here are just ultimately this platform out here is going to be where things would land. Wow, that's way off. Which is really, I think I ended up moving it. So now that come on. Out of hydrogen. So the idea is that once I get, I mean, with any, base building, in the end, it's about, having your base pieces, your basic platform, and then you build the stuff you need on top of the platform. Ultimately, all the stuff, in this case, is what I've got here. At any given point, I will have to really just start mining, get the materials that I need, and then assemblers and that sort of thing, and then go from there. In the end, I need components. Is really what it is. You can really do anything. The very first thing I need to worry about is power. Right now I've got decent power, but in the end I need a reactor, which I do have here on the ship, but I'm going to need a source of uranium, so I kind of have to be at that interim place where I have sufficient enough power to regenerate. I'm gonna need hydrogen in this case, and I do have bottles in here, which is actually why I'm taking the time to do this. What I may actually do, because this is so far away, is actually turn this back on and bring this up just a little bit, and then actually move this over, which would save me having to go. So let's focus on that. We'll move this over, and ultimately I need to take this entire thing apart. So power. We ultimately unlock.
Ship fuel critical.
The ship is indeed critically low, so let's go ahead and rotate. We are very close to the ground. We'll go up just slightly. And ultimately I want to move the ship over to eventually we will completely dismantle all of this. Alright, so let's get this back onto the ground, which should be around 10. It was
Ship
10
fuel
before.
critical.
And relock onto the ground. I'm going to go ahead and do there are atmospheric thrusters here. So we're going to call these thrusters.
Fuel.
We're going to do a save. So we're going to turn those off on the toolbar, off on the terminal, and then we're going to physically turn those off. So gyro can be turned off. Interior lights, we're going to turn those off. Pretty much anything that we do not need for some reason, or detector, will turn all of that off. Programmable block at this point, the refinery, the timer block, will turn all of that off. So obviously the cargo container we need to leave on, and that's about it. So an awful lot of stuff we do not need. The timer block here, most everything in this vessel can really be, I'm not sure why. Gyros I turned off, but the medical bay I did not turn off. These are just, yeah, they're just empty. Right. I guess, stored power. Alright, so there is a tiny bit of power, I just don't know why. Reactor. Current output. Something's using it. Refinery is off. Programmable block. It's all set up to me. Let us change this to off. This is why, right there. Exactly why I don't like the semi-auto mode. So, reactor being the reactor, we're still at 100%. Oh, that's because the batteries are attempting to charge. Alright. But, thankfully, alright. So, we have quite a bit of stuff here. What I'm going to go ahead and do is take all these bottles in. We have quite a bit in our oxygen generator here, our gaseous generator. Let me go ahead and pull these things. I don't know that I can actually make a container, but I'm going to go ahead and we'll take really everything of value out of here. So what I really need to do is get the infrastructure set up. The medical station, obviously, we absolutely have to have that. So the medical station, the assembler. Where is the assembler? Assembler somewhere. I don't know where it is, but there's an assembler somewhere. There we go. There's the assembler. So, assembler, oxygen generator, the refinery, and 2 cargo containers. Batteries, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do anything about the batteries. Let's go ahead and so I've got the miner. Cheating a little bit, I've got the miner, so I'm not really going to worry about the miner at this point. So I don't need to do that. So let me turn off the welder, the grinder, and that we're going to put this there. This here. Try that again. There we go. We'll get the conveyor tube out there because we need that. All right. I like conveyor air vents over other types. Now, I use Kenti blocks because they're more effective, more efficient. A lot more bang for the buck. They are expensive as shit, but in the end, well worth it. So, large container, or actually just containers in general. Solar panels we're going to put over there. Drills, if we actually end up needing those, we need a reactor at some point. Refineries at some point. I think that's about it. I don't think there would be any advantage. Put the antenna out there of having a fixed emplacement. Conveyor sorter, perhaps. Oxygen generator and tanks. Ultimately, I think I normally put gyros there. All right, so going to button bar 1, toolbar. So what I wanted to do here is do this one. All right. Ultimately, it's just time consuming, at least while the game will actually run. So really, it's this here that is the important part at this point. So, question is, how far can I go down? And I think I'm just going to put an elbow and then run this. So this out here really is the extent of, you know, I mean, I started kind of backwards. I don't know how many interior plate I actually have. Ultimately, I want to create a cover, a vault kind of you know, entrance here. So ultimately, this is just the beginning here of kind of my marker, if you will, for where everything is going to go. So let me come back about another come back two more. My inclination is to, you know, go into spectator mode and this. So ultimately, let's so ultimately, I want doors here. I just have to figure out how to kind of make that work. I don't believe I have nearly the components to do that at this point. exactly why the game is just not playable as it is. So I now have to figure out where I am. Not there. So I've done literally hours and hours of testing to try and figure out what the fuck. The changing the graphics does absolutely nothing. I've gone down to the point where the graphics suck. Everything low, and there's no real significant change. So it's not about the graphics settings, although I have discovered that it will fail equally depending on how everything is. So my goal here, which is why I went into spectator to begin with, you know what? This is I'm just in the fuck it mode. I'm absolutely convinced that the game devs don't actually play this game. They have absolutely no idea what the fuck they've got. They don't know what the problems are. They don't know, hey, this fucking doesn't work. Maybe we should fix that. It for other folks out there who enjoy the parodies, Feral, you have to watch Feral. Wasted Space features Feral, and a lot of Feral does a update parody video. He doesn't do them every week because, well, hey, Space Engineers was fucked up last week. It's fucked up this week. It's actually fucked up in the same ways last week to this week. So there's not really a whole lot of, update that went on. So, but Feral, Farrell, I think, 1701 is the YouTube channel. You gotta see his stuff. It's absolutely hysterical. For those of you who have ever been frustrated, obviously I'm frustrated. Um, the things that he's been able to come up with is absolutely outstanding. It's great stuff. All right, I'm already in fuck it mode, and here's what's going to happen in fuck it mode. I'm going to well, I guess I don't know if it will actually let me. It's this interaction with Voxel's bullshit that's part of. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do because I'm just way too frustrated to deal with the stupid shit. So I'm going to pick this thing up. Just fucking unplayable. So what I'm gonna do, if I can, apparently not. God damn it. Motherfuck. Piece of shit game. And of course, because I never pasted that, it just fucking vanished. God damn it, I fucking hate this game. Alright, because I'm way over an hour already, I'm fucking pissed off now because there's just... Why play this game? There's absolutely no fucking reason to play this game. So, this is Kenty Tiger, absolutely fucking signing off. You all have a great night. Thank you for watching. I will catch you next time.